Hello, my name is Deb. This is my space traveling comrade, Mona.
Mona D. Pleasure to be here.
We've come from Los Angeles. This is show 14 of our first European tour. One more tomorrow, and then back to the States from whence we came. First time in Europe as Drab Majesty promoting Careless. Careless is a compendium of bedroom recordings and odd ideas that I was given over the span of about 3 years in the formation of Drab Majesty. And I was able to kind of put them together in some kind of cohesive context and call it a record. And Deus Records was generous enough to sort it out and give me the Deus podium to release it. And it was quite an honor, and I'm still touring on it, and it was released in June of 2015. In a month, it will be a year of touring on this record, and I'm very grateful to be here in Europe. Kind of a humbling anthology, but also kind of silly, only in the span of 3 years that this project has existed for, but it was a way to just kind of give the overall of what I do and give kind of insight into kind of some different genres that I've forayed into. And there's some synth stuff, there's some unreleased stuff from the Careless record. There's a remix from our dear friends Cold Showers. And yeah, it's just some shit that was in the brain, had to come out. The fascination with UFO cults came from my interest in Unarius, which is based very closely to LA and San Diego. The imagery, the aesthetics, even the philosophy spoke to me greatly. On a deep level. Mona can talk about it too. Oddly enough, before we even came together, he was an avid collector of their voluminous literature that I've tried my best to keep up with. And they're absolutely an interesting theatrical society that are incredible filmmakers and have an interesting approach to their doctrine. I don't know if you want to speak a little bit about Unarius, but I did name my first record after a particular cult.
I just think Unarius is fascinating because it's one of the most well-documented, well-photographed, secular, sort of superstitious religious cults in America. And something catching on when it comes to UFO cults. This secular religion, this sort of science-based fantasy that we've been visited, that we're in contact. But the people who are communicating with the outer space entities are always these eccentric, sort of florid speaking weirdos. And so what ends up happening is things become fantastical. Things get an aesthetic.
And when they have the means to make incredible video pieces, they do. And if you've never seen anything made by the Unarius cult on 16mm, I highly recommend it. It will warp your world. It's pretty out there, weird. Hopefully we can send stem cells out there and birth humans. Relationship with Genesis P-Orridge? Directly, Genesis is managed by the other 50% of Deus Records, Ryan in New York, and he oversees her archive and kind of where her art goes. But more than anything, Genesis always struck me as this insane renegade rogue figure that's absolutely, in my opinion, extraterrestrial and so devoted to their practice and multidisciplinary in a way that I can only dream of being. I opened for Psychic TV. It was a great honor. I had the extreme pleasure of meeting Genesis and interfacing with her, and extremely sweet, humble human being. It's cool that Deus has released the Throbbing Gristle and Psychic TV recordings to give light to the new generation of people that are seeking out that music. But like I was saying, I don't believe anyone has really commanded such a multidisciplinary presence as Genesis, and has made such a wide range of music, and so confidently and so poignantly. over the years, and I look to her as someone that has seen their artistic vision through and has refined it like time and time and again, and really just so committed to their practice. And I hope one day I can branch out and do more than just what I do currently, and obviously that involves the span of a 30-year career. Douglas P. and Genesis P-Orridge are two people that I greatly admire, who have expanded their artistic practice to heights and levels that I come from a fine art background, and I hope to be able to expand my practice on the levels that they have. Heroes, I have my contemporaries are all my heroes. Youth Code, Sarah and Ryan are absolute heroes of mine. Marshall Cantrell, incredible hero, someone that needs to be celebrated on the regular. My label mates, High Functioning Flesh, them are us too. I'm very grateful to be in the company of such prolific, ingenious people. I'm constantly taken aback by the work that's been produced on Deus since I joined. Not to mention so many other contemporaries. I mean, the list goes on, but right now I would say my most immediate heroes have shifted from the historic to the present. I'm constantly inspired by people every single day. King Dude, extreme brother of mine, who has helped pave my way, and more or less has helped me where I am at this particular moment. I'm greatly indebted to him, TJ. Right now I'm looking at my contemporaries because I believe there's a renaissance occurring and that needs to be occurring. I don't think there's actually a renaissance of the theatrics. I think it's still, oddly enough, a barren wasteland, and there's very few people that are pushing into the realm of theatrics, mime, costume, aesthetic. It's quite discouraging to see people get out of bed and play a show in their plain clothes. It doesn't take me out of my daily routine and regimen, and I wish more people would do it. But right now I can only say Geneva Jacuzzi's always been pushing her crazy, like, biomorphic space alien bit that's fantastic. Every show's different. She's constantly reinventing herself. I have a great deal of respect for her. Other folks, I mean, Lumerians were always a big influence for me. The San Francisco band, they always would have very creative garb that they would wear. And Lumerians, they're fantastic. Master musicians of Bukkake, the Seattle band. They wear UN construction helmets and spelunking lights, and they do an incredible, transcendent, weird live show. And it's amazing. It takes me out of whatever I did that day, because those people on stage are aliens, and I'm just like a quotidian, daily guy going to a show. So
I think the most important thing is this trend of trying to be yourself, being a bleeding heart, making music, that's the weakest character you can play. I feel like why not bring it back to an element of fun, of theatrical involvement, makeup, character. Why not make it more interesting? I feel like we've sort of finally come back to that. You don't have to be yourself on stage. That's the most important thing. You can play a character. You can be anyone you want.
yes, new record. Very excited about it. Alongside Josh Eustace, Telefon Tel Aviv, Tropic of Cancer, Second Woman, Sons of Magdalene. He's a fucking amazing human being. I'm very grateful to work with him. He's become kind of the default Deus, like Motown recording champion. He did the Them Rush 2 record. He worked with Youth Code, Place to Stand, EP. Incredible producer, mastermind. Never have I ever been in such close quarters with someone that has understood my sound and what I do, and it's kind of a weird leap for me because I've always been I've received in my bedroom, and I received through these like very personal spaces. So working with him and having another human being in the space and that is not intrusive and is very sensitive to my sensibilities has been an insane blessing, and I don't know if there's anyone else better suited for the job. So yes, I'm working with Josh, and the record will be out in November, and when I get back from this long stint of touring US coming up next, we'll go back and we'll finish the remainder of the record. And yes, this fine lad will be singing and playing on it, and it's cool. Yeah. Love you, Josh. Yeah. So Michael Thiel, quite a generous, humble, selfless person who I was introduced to through a mutual friend, Ben Chisholm, who does White Horse on his label. Ben just introduced us through email, and never have I had someone via an internet connection believe in someone enough to actually go to the lengths of booking a tour, over the span of 3 weeks for someone that they don't even know. And he did that, and it was very cool. And Michael, when you're watching this, please know I love you, and I'm very grateful for this experience. All the shows have been absolutely fantastic. And yes, Weird Sun Records has brought me to Europe on this first round, and hopefully I will be back supporting the second LP, regardless of who booked me. Michael, you popped the cherry, the Euro cherry.